guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Happy Chirp. This conversation is sponsored by Manto, which is a clothing fashion brand, and they make the most comfortable kurte pajame, like the one I'm wearing right now in this green. And they've literally transformed, clothing pieces into art pieces through these calligraphy and designs that they do. This is a very nice warm shawl. It has all this Urdu written on it that I haven't read yet, but I love it. Literally looks like an art piece. And Manto, they have this philosophy that you are what you wear. And because your clothing really affects your daily life, if you're comfortable, if you're not comfortable, you feel confident, you not feel confident, and clothes play a huge part in that. And that's their brand philosophy. So, they have these wonderful outfits, and if you want to check them out, then please do. They are online on Instagram, and they have their own website as well. So the guest I have today, her name is Suman Valeecha, and she's done way too many things and she's come really far. But before I get down into what exactly she's done, we're going to dive deep into her life and have this conversation with her. How are you, Suman?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for taking out the time and coming
Pleasure
here to
is all
speak to
mine.
us. She's here all the way from Karachi, by the way. So I'm honored to have you.
Totally mine.
Acha. So there's a lot that you have done. And honestly, it's a very inspiring journey. I heard your TEDx talk this morning regarding all you've done in the, for the transgender community. And it was very inspiring for me, honestly, because there's a lot of perspective that you gave that I didn't have, before. And I thought that I have a lot of perspective on this, but it was very eye-opening, and you spoke very well as well. So, but before we get into all of that, there's a lot you've achieved otherwise as well. You have a long journey. So I want to dig deep, go back with you, and talk about that. So let's start with where you were born and raised.
I was born in Karachi, although my parents belong to the interior Sindh. Both of them are doctors.
Acha.
Both my parents and actually their family, they belong to a very conservative, humble background.
Okay.
But my Nana was a very adamant person that, he made sure that all the girls are educated. So I have like 6 khalas and all of them are educated. And my mom, because she was my Nana's favorite child, so he made sure that, usko padhai lekha, and she ended up becoming a doctor.
Which was an unusual thing
Which is an unusual thing because a lot of my khalas, when unke rishte aaye, to unhone bola bas humne padhna vadna nahi hai, hum, this is hamari zindagi ka maqsad hai. Let's get married, have babies, and we are sorted with life. So my Nana was like, conditioning my mom that, you need to do something because when it's your favorite child, you make an effort.
Yeah.
So he made sure he invested time, money, effort, and, she ended up becoming a doctor.
Sahi.
And we were talking about like generations back, jahan pe ladkiyon ko padhana wasn't a thing also. So that was the first step where my grooming comes in. Seeing an educated mother, working mother, striving, or doctor's ki life, your nights ho rahi hai. Sometimes for days she's away. So I've seen my mother.
Yeah.
As a working woman, as a strong, independent, bold woman who's fighting into the man's world. So that's where my first step of learning began. And then my father also belongs to a very humble, conservative background. He was the first person in his family to be educated. So my Nana was a small businessman. My chachus ended up being part of that business as well. My father was the first child who went out, fought, educated himself, and he was also a doctor.
So he basically he was self-made, us tarah se
totally
educated and
self-made,
self-made, even though there was that like business
and he did not have a financial support as well, and a lot of times अच्छा ठीक है नहीं चला नहीं पढ़े तो कोई बात नहीं, ज़मीनें हैं पैसे हैं business है चला लेंगे काम. That wasn't an option for him. So he made his way. रातें 3 jobs करते थे. I remember एक government की job होती थी, and then शाम को he used to be at his private clinic. So he
really worked
hard. And then बच्चे हो गए, and then उनको education provide करनी है, उनको quality life देनी है. That was a different struggle. So both my parents were working just to make sure कि what they had missed in their life through their parents, उनके बच्चों को वो problem ना हो.
हाँ बिल्कुल. And then he basically started working in Karachi. That's how.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he was educated in Karachi. He studied in Karachi. Then he started working in Karachi at a government job. So my mom, after she got married, she also moved to Karachi. So she's also started working here.
And then you came.
And then I came, yes.
Yeah. So where did you get like most of your education from?
In Karachi. I was born in Karachi. I was raised in Karachi. Because my mom was a working mother, or she was doing a house job when I was born. I was accidentally born. I wasn't a planned child. So
Are you?
जिंदगी थोड़ी सी उल्टी
So आप
पुल्टी
सबसे
हो गई.
बड़ी हैं.
I am the eldest
हाँ,
child.
ठीक है.
So उनकी जिंदगी थोड़ी उल्टी पुल्टी हो गई कि अच्छा पढ़ें कैसे, काम कैसे करें, और फिर बच्ची भी हो गई. So my early childhood I spent mostly with my grandparents.
Right.
In Ladkana, that too. So
Acha.
my pupos, my chachas, my mom, dad's cousins, they've all raised me up. You know, कहते हैं कि
Takes a village.
Village, literally. That's been the case.
अच्छा.
So yeah, my early childhood I spent in Ladkana with my mom, grandfather, mother.
And then what did you do your graduation in, and where did you do that?
So I went to a convent school again. Again, तो एक co-ed वाला जो आपका barrier होता है वो भी I think हमने कभी cross नहीं किया था. So my parents were protective as well for the child. So I went to a convent school, then I went to a girls' college, and then जिंदगी थोड़ी रुक गई कि अब क्या करें. So my first step into the real world with men and interaction and everything was when I opted to do my CA, chartered accountancy. Phir kind of did not like it, so my father did not force me. He's like, koi baat nahi, it's okay, just figure out. You're too young, you still have time to explore. It's okay if you are falling, no problem. So he supported me. And then I remember when I started my college, and this is not what a lot of parents do, that especially protective parents.
Okay.
When I started going to college, वो pick and drop वाला गाड़ी और वाला scene खत्म हो चुका था, because when you are in school, you're little, you're being protected, it's like fine. So my father was like, now you're entering into the real world. Let's teach you. So he hand-holded me. He's like, अय्याशी हर वक्त नहीं मिलेगी. जब तक हम जिंदा हैं तुम्हें अय्याशी देंगे. तुम्हें गाड़ी भी देंगे, तुम्हें driver भी देंगे, नौकर भी देंगे. We'll provide for you. But that may not happen. So let's prepare you for that time as well. I remember he parked his car and he's like, आओ मैं तुम्हें बस में चढ़ना सिखाता हूँ.
How nice. Nobody does that.
Stood there, see? He stood there at the bus stop making sure मुझे दिखाए कि देखो ये मर्द होंगे, ताड़ेंगे, घूरेंगे, some may misbehave. This is what you have to do. This is how you stop a bus. This is the bus that will take you from this stop to another stop. And कैसे रोकना है, कैसे चढ़ना है, And then he was there watching me. I remember वो compartments होते हैं हमारी buses में, तो it's not like you sit in a metro and fine. So I kept looking at him because I was scared. I'm like, why is he doing this to me? And I was a teenager and I was angry. He's like, हमारे पास गाड़ी है, he can drive and I can be dropped in. Like, why is he doing this to me? I don't want to do this. But then, when you grow up and then you face challenges and then you realize what he's done.
Yeah.
And that is a crucial part of your learning. And literally there were times I was standing on those bus stops with streets, I was harassed, I was bullied. But I was like, and I was very angry at my father, like, why is he doing this? He literally took away that van ki service and his pick and drop. My mom used to pick and drop me from school as well. So that was all taken away. I was like, उस वक्त तो समझ नहीं आया. Now when you are grown up and trying to provide for yourself, you realize, all these things, all these learnings.
How old were you when you did this?
I was 17. I just recently started my college. Then you become independent and you're like, अब आपकी ज़रूरत नहीं है. Now I can manage. मैं रिक्शे में भी चढ़ लूँगी, मैं बस में भी चढ़ लूँगी, कोई मसला नहीं है. And then that gives you confidence. ठीक है, when you travel internationally, आपको डर नहीं लगता कि कहाँ से कैसे जाना है, Uber, Careem, you're not scared anymore because you've seen the worst.
Yeah.
And hand-holded worse. Like you were literally taught step by step to how to, swim through that.
Yeah, I'll share an anecdote here. So, when you really get pushed into it, आपको करना ही पड़ता है, and your father sort of like pushed you into it. So for college, I moved to Lahore. So I moved away from my family. I had already lost my father a couple of years before that. And मेरा भी यही था, my mom has always been this, really independent woman, and especially after my dad, of course. खैर आई मूव टू लाहौर और वहाँ पर कोई करीम ऊबर टाइप चीज़ नहीं होती थी. सो उस वक्त भी लाइक मैंने बड़े रिक्शों में और लाहौर में बस सर्विस भी है वो भी मैंने यूज़ किया, वो किया. और मेरे साथ एक और मेरी फ्रेंड होती थी, माई रूममेट, नॉट माई रूममेट बट लाइक बहुत मेरी क्लोज वहाँ पर फ्रेंड थी. एंड शी केम फ्रॉम अ वेरी शेल्टर्ड sort of background, and her dad was like really protective. तो लाइक उसका ये तक सीन था कि वेन एवर वी यूज टू गो टू द बाज़ार ना, तो वहाँ पर जाती थी, कहती थी प्लीज़ शॉपकीपर से पूछो कि फ़लानी चीज़ कितने की है, बिकॉज शी हैड नेवर इवन सॉर्ट ऑफ
So she didn't have the confidence.
had never even done that. She couldn't go बाज़ार में कभी अकेले or do anything अकेले. And then it took a, और जब करीम आ भी गई उसके बाद भी जाके हुआ कि it would be like मेरे लिए करीम बुलवा दो और उसको रास्ता समझा दो and stuff.
Yeah, we have so many women like this.
Yes.
What we are talking about,
Yeah.
like independent, confident women, is just a few chunk of it.
And Suman, that friend comes from a very educated sort of family, you know, but
I think suppression goes a long way.
yeah, it's
In
not
different kinds and forms.
Yes,
it's not just कि, you know.
मतलब it's a wider conversation maybe, but उसमें आप ये देखते हो तो there are different ways of suppression. So there may be suppression जहाँ पर पाकिस्तान में they don't allow their women to like they don't educate them, then they don't let them work. But then आपकी होती हैं, you know, you're cleaning ladies and you're वो घर छोड़ के आती हैं बच्चों को, चल के आती हैं, वैगनों में बैठ के आती हैं. They have some sort of
freedom but still suppressed.
They have some sort of experience that we might not have, and we might not know how to do.
Yes,
Right?
That's true. That's
yeah,
true.
so it's very interesting like that.
Yes.
Like it's not as black and white as suppressed and not suppressed, because you can be educated and have
still be,
everything
yes.
and still not know how to live in this
Yeah.
world,
That's
right?
true,
So
that's
kind of
true.
wider conversation, but something to think about.
Think about, absolutely.
Huh.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's interesting your father did that. Khair, so we were you were telling me this, I think you were leading up to your
So yeah, he was
college
encouraging
education.
enough कि ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, things are not working out, choose your path.
हाँ.
So then I started working after I finished my BCom, because वो सी के साथ BCom बस ऐसे ही हो गया था, not intended to. But then I started working. I started my MBA while I was working. Now working in that generation was also like a, you know, tough call के, you know, लड़की बाहर निकलेगी, काम करेगी.
What year is this?
This is 2006.
Yeah.
So इतना भी पुराना नहीं है, but I know
Still.
so many of my friends, cousins of my age जो उस टाइम पे struggle कर रही थी कि पढ़ तो लिया, now they have to fight for कि अब please job करने दें.
I think उस
All
टाइम
my
पे
friends are
common was
working.
like teaching तक थोड़ा हो
or
चुका था.
doctor.
हाँ, teaching और doctor.
All the females just wanted to graduate and become doctor and शादी and बच्चे बस वो. And then, you know, there's a whole lot of conversation जिन्होंने कुछ different degrees कर ली to, you know, have a conversation with their mom, dad कि please हमें job करने दें, हम, you know, we want to
Corporates,
do
banks,
something.
ये चीज़ें
And then
नहीं थी
parents were
common.
also very skeptical कि corporate world है, you know. We don't know. It's like an unknown world.
Yeah.
They don't know what goes on there. And उनके जो preconceived notion है कि वहाँ पे क्या होता है, it's all dirty.
Yeah.
It's all bad.
Yeah.
And we don't want our girl child to go through that or, you know, face that. That was a different journey. उसमें भी एक बड़ी education. My father used to sit and have conversations with me. कोई मसला हो मेरे पास आना. Because he's a doctor, so he doesn't have exposure to the corporate world. But he has friends. He hears stories. He watches a lot of dramas. He's a Bollywood fan. So Star Plus के सारे ड्रामे हम बैठ के देखते थे उनके साथ. So he knows, you know, कुछ भी है. I mean, if it's not 100%, 50% तो गंद होती होगी ना उस corporate world में, you know. So he used to have conversations with me like, you can trust me and no problem, just come to me, ये वो. And then he taught me driving. He's like, this bus and rickshaw has to end now. You've earned yourself this freedom. I'm going to teach you driving. So he taught me driving. Then we bought a car. He's like, this freedom has to come with responsibility. He's like, I'm going to give you the car until you are earning enough to buy for your own. So when I think after first year of my salary, when I was earning decent enough, I booked myself a car. I'm like, Dad, thank you very much, but I'm going to do this for myself. But more importantly, I'm going to do this for you.
Sweet.
So he was very proud, you know. But I think the credit goes to him. Your upbringing for especially a girl child plays a huge role.
Yes.
Plays a huge role. That's what I've learned out of experience.
And from fathers.
And fathers. My mother was very supportive, but mothers being mothers, they're always like...
Yes, but you know, I've spoken to a lot of women, and one common thing has been how the role of fathers in raising these women.
Yes, because
it's
know.
very common, like in all of these women.
I think it's a pattern, but also men understand how men behave in the world. So they teach you accordingly.
Yeah.
On how to, you know, fight with them or support them or be their counterparts.
Yeah.
Khair, I think that journey went really smooth. I started working, then there was a time कि बच्ची बस हो जाती है, जवान हो जाती है, अब उसकी शादी
time.
So that
बस
drama-
भाई बस.
पढ़ भी लिया, काम भी कर लिया, अब कुछ move a little further. So I got engaged. That my engagement lasted for three years.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time because there was a huge lot of drama during my wedding. So I'm not going to openly discuss.
Okay.
Because that involves a third party also.
Of course, I understand.
But that did not work out well for me as well. But I was forced to get married. कि, उस time पे you cannot. Like divorce आजकल फिर भी थोड़ी सी common. Like women are taking stand for themselves.
It was such a taboo word. बोल भी नहीं सकते थे तलाक.
Okay, I belong to a minority. I'm not a Muslim, so understand. Being a minority in Pakistan, in itself is a challenge.
Yes.
So now I fought कि मेरी engagement टूट जाए, so the drama is not escalated to that level, but that did not happen. Then I was forced कि you leave your education, finish your MBA. We're not stopping you to not study. Finish your MBA.
ठीक है.
जितना आप काम करना है कर लो. The शादी will only happen when you are ready.
Okay.
And then obviously parents का pressure होता है 25 साल की हो गई हो बस कितना काम करोगी. अब उन्होंने condition रखी है तो so I had to I finished my MBA. I quit my job because I had to get married, because I was forced to get married, let's put it that way. And okay, ठीक है हो गई शादी, but again the drama went on. So my in-laws were very nice, but the person that I had to live with, compatibility नहीं थी. We did not get along well. So I called it off. I had to call it off. So this calling off part took 6 months. My mom was not ready for it. None of my family was ready for it. It's like ये नहीं हो सकता, हमारी इज्जत का मसला है. इज्जत का मसला है. So that was a whole lot of drama. But then there came to a point where I reached my threshold. I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. So I'm like, thank you, Dad, for raising me like a strong, independent woman. I'm educated. I can make a living for myself. If you're not ready to take me back, I put my step down. I'm done here. I will survive if you're not ready to take back. My father was like, no, beta, I am with you. I'll support you. My mom's like, this is not happening. So imagine.
See, I said father role. It's so important.
It is. But I think after we called it off and it took some time for her to sink in and everything, then she realized. She realized that, that वो 1.5 साल जो मैंने अजियत में गुजारा, रो के आती थी मैं उनके साथ बातें करती थी. She was also stressed. उनका BP हर वक्त high रहता था. She was always stressed. She was always worried for her child. So, एक सुकून आ गया. She's like, at least I'm at peace that my child is happy now. And doing well in life. Then I was like, life must not stop. So that I resumed working. Then I did my MPhil. I started teaching. That is very rewarding. I think everybody in their life once must teach. Okay,
so I will interrupt you here.
Yes, go ahead.
So I did actually. I 100% agree with you. It's super rewarding. Your teaching is very different from the teaching I've done, because I was actually a preschool teacher for a bit.
Horrible.
But it was just, I used to feel so happy.
I know.
It was so rewarding. I would go, like, अगर मैं सुबह उठती ना मैं सड़ा हुआ मूड होता था, कुछ नहीं दिल चाहता. But when I would enter that class, and the vibe and my day would turn around and I would come back feeling so complete. Yes.
And that one thank you that comes your way, you've made a difference.
Yeah.
You're blessed to have it.
Yeah.
That changes your
life. I felt like even though I was teaching like छोटे बच्चे बिल्कुल,
because हमारा self confidence नहीं है ना, हमारी self esteem है, हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम तो ऐसे बस कुछ भी पढ़ा रहे हैं. But for the child,
you're making a difference. Because the mothers used to come and say, they're like, this is what our child feels about you. This is what you've changed in them. Or I've seen this change. Or I've seen this change in my child. Yeah. So फिर आपको होता है कि okay, even if it's good. You're making a difference, and even if it feels small, larger picture में it has an impact. That changes that individual's life. That will go on for a long way. वो एक ripple effect भी होता है ना. Yes. Everyone should teach once in their lives. Yes. And I agree with you.
So I'm still teaching. I took a break for 2 semesters because I had to go through a surgery, so kind of struggling medically on my health. But I should resume next summer. So that has been a wonderful journey as well. And that's where, so I also run a social enterprise along with the job that I do. That's where one of my babies were born. So I was doing this project with my students because being a lecturer in a university, kabhi, like यूनिवर्सिटी आपको बहुत सारे कामों के लिए यूज़ कर रही होती है, वो रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट आ रहा है, सुपरवाइज कर दें, एडिटोरियल जर्नल पब्लिश हो रहा है, एडिट कर दें, यू नो. सो दैट्स हाउ आई वाज डूइंग दिस वन ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट्स विद माई स्टूडेंट्स एंड वी जस्ट डिसाइडेड टू डू इट फॉर द ट्रांस कम्युनिटी.
Okay.
सो अब वो सेमेस्टर लॉन्ग प्रोजेक्ट था. दिस वाज फेसबुक का P2B चैलेंज वेयर वी सबमिटेड द प्रपोजल एंड दे शॉर्टलिस्टेड एंड वी वर क्वालिफाइड, वी वर इन द फाइनलिस्ट. सो यू नो students were happy, CBM was happy कि वो हमने Facebook पे, you know, global challenge पे we won a star and everything. 4 months later we like, okay, the project is done, now what? Should we close it? But those 4 months literally had a heart and soul. We really felt it. अच्छा मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था, although you would agree to that कि while we were being, जितनी भी अच्छी भी upbringing हो, but there are certain topics that were never talked about.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever talk to you about puberty? About your periods?
No.
Sex, the
No.
word itself is a taboo.
Yeah.
अभी भी पैम्पर्स कह रही हूँ, ऑलवेज की एड्स आती हैं तो
Switch.
चैनल स्विच हो जाता है, कोई यू नो रोमांटिक सीन आता है, इवन इफ इट्स नॉट वल्गर फॉरेन, इधर उधर हम परेशान हो जाते हैं, कहाँ मुँह छुपाएं, यू नो. सम थिंग्स आर नॉट टू बी टॉक्ड अबाउट नो मैटर हाउ गुड योर अपब्रिंगिंग इज. एंड दैट वाज वन ऑफ द, एंड आई रियलाइज हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें कभी नहीं बताया कि who these people are.
मुझे पैड पहनना नहीं आता था पहली दफ़ा जब मुझे पीरियड्स.
You see, पहनना तो दूर की बात. I came home crying कि mom,
What's wrong?
I'm hurt, but I don't know where because it doesn't hurt. You know, I don't know what's going on. And she's a doctor. I'm like, and I sometimes when I think of it, I get angry. I'm like, you are a doctor. Why didn't you ever tell me? I was embarrassed in front of my, you know.
It's so different from me and my sister. My sister is 10 years younger than me. ठीक है, उसको जब पहली दफ़ा पीरियड्स है ना, she didn't care. She's like, हाँ हो गए, whatever, because normalize हो चुकी थी ना बात हमारे घर में, हमारी फैमिली में. She's like, oh हाँ हो गए अब.
And मेरी बहन, मेरा थोड़ा 4 साल का डिफरेंस भी है, and she's a reader, so she reads a lot. और खैर उसके फ्रेंड्स सीनियर बैच में भी थे, so उन्होंने बता दिया था. So I'm like, how did you know and how come I never knew about this? So it was like a different times also. But then, you know, I self-educated myself. कि मैं कहा, who are these people? They're there in our society, in our community, but nobody talks about them. Why do I not see them in offices? Why did I ever not see them in colleges and universities and schools? Why were we not sitting with them in the rest? What's going on? And that was an eye-opener for us as group of people who are working on their issues. हमने भी उनको as a taboo ही सुना था, देखा था. You know, somebody who's cursed by God, let's say. You know, उस तरह की बात है. So that's how my journey with the bunch of students started for Accept also. That has been inspiring for me as well, rewarding for me as well. Kind of different challenges when it comes to gender. हमें लगता था हम ख़वातीन ही बेचारी हैं. But when you listen to their stories, like, oh my God.
We're much better off.
You were blessed, better off, you're privileged.
अच्छा, that. So you never got married after that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Considering maybe not.
Maybe
I'm not sure.
Right. You're doing a lot as well in life, so.
No, it's not even about that. You know, it's the choice that you make. That do you want a partner as a companion or just for the heck of it? क्योंकि generally आपको ना एक information फील है, बुढ़ापे में अकेले क्या करोगी, कैसे जियोगी. So how you break through that thought is where it comes. Like मैं बुढ़ी हो जाऊंगी तो वो भी तो बुढ़ा होगा ना यार. It's not like I'm getting married to like a 20-year younger than me.
Who will look after you बुढ़ापे में.
Babysit me, you know. So let's see how that goes.
Do you get pressure from your family?
Still, yes, I do.
हाँ.
और कभी-कभी माँ बाप का वो अपना खुद का कार्ड ही चलता ना, वो खाला को बोलती है जरा बात करो ना. कभी दादी को बोलेंगे जरा बात करो ना, इनको समझाओ ना जरा.
Yeah, I get it.
I think this will never stop for women. This will never stop. No matter how modern the world gets. Trust me.
Marriage is important.
लड़कियों के लिए.
लड़कियों के लिए सही है. So yeah, so now tell me a bit about what you were doing in the transgender community and for them.
Okay, so we started off because first step was it was important that people knew them, who they are, what they are facing. So we started mainly हमारी जो activities थी, they were about raising awareness. तो हमने पहले trans talk organize की थी. So initially when we cross that 4 months of project ka phase, we wanted to take it on board. Like, let's register it. Let's give it a, enterprise shape, and let's take this forward. No, we didn't know how far we would get, but that literally had our heart and soul. So we did genuinely want to do something. So ab hame wo trans talk karni thi. It was like an awareness session, like similar to what TEDx would be or TED Talks would be, but more, localized version of that. We reached out to a lot of venue partners, but nobody agreed. He's like, nahi, matlab, kya scene hai, matlab, Khwaja Siraz aa rahe, ja rahe honge, and security, and, we can't do that. So because I was also working, and one of my mentors was also the head of department at IOBM. So I spoke to him and said, sir, please. She's like, acha, let me speak. So we both went to the head of the institute president to request him to do that, and he just kept scratching his head कि नहीं कैसे होगा. Then उन्होंने अपना advisor बुलाया. उस like बेटा reputation है institute की, बहुत सारे parents open minded ना हो, वो देखेंगे, बहुत सारे लोग conservative होते हैं, और students, मैंने कहा that's what we want to do. Students का एक barrier है, because you get awkward if a trans person comes to you, has a conversation, you get awkward. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to behave. आपकी body language आपको support नहीं कर रही होती, because आपकी recognition नहीं है ना in your mind. So that was a fight that we had to fight for an institute as well, कि please venue तो दे देना. तो खैर, a lot of students were very supportive. So he's like, अच्छा ठीक है, but don't advertise it, don't put it anywhere. हमें partner वो नहीं. Usually venue partners लिखते हैं, like वो please नहीं करना, just do it and promote your activity, and that's about it. तो कहीं पे लिखा नहीं होना चाहिए अभी. मैंने कहा अच्छा ठीक है. But we got a lot of attention. There was a lot of media. बहुत सारे journalists आए थे. Sabina Agha was there. Zirar was there. So they were very happy that, like a bunch of students इस उम्र में, इस era में, they were talking about issues like this. It's like हमारे media वाले हमें allow नहीं करते to talk about this, because reputation at stake and taboo topic. When those journalists were on our panel and speaking about, their challenges and what role media can play, what role academics can play, and media has a huge power, that.
It's everything these days, bhai.
I mean, what Salman can do, nobody can do. You see? So media has that power, and my question to them was, why can't you play a very critical role in changing this perspective? आप लोगों ने उदारी जैसे topics पे काम किया है, आपने women empowerment जैसे subjects पे इतना सारा काम किया है. Talk about this and show a different perspective कि these are not just becharas, there are a lot of talented individuals as well. बट हमारी उन आर्ट से रिलेटेड एक जो फील्ड है उसकी कदर नहीं है. वी डोंट एनकरेज डांसर्स, वी डोंट एनकरेज म्यूजिशियंस, वी डोंट एनकरेज एनी कल्चरल एक्टिविटीज, एंड दे स्पेशलाइज इन दीज, दे हैव द टैलेंट, बट नोबडी टॉक्स अबाउट देम. So when they spoke about, yes, media has a huge power and we can actually play a huge role provided we are allowed to talk about this. Nobody takes a stand. Then you had a lot of conversation around what academics can do. हमेशा आप एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म करेंगे, वो आपसे जेंडर पूछना है, मेल फीमेल के अलावा कोई थर्ड जेंडर होता ही नहीं है. फिर एनी बैंक का फॉर्म उठा लें आप, एनी यूनिवर्सिटी एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म उठा, देयर इज नो मेंशन ऑफ थर्ड जेंडर, व्हिच मीन्स एज पर द पॉलिसी यू आर नॉट इवन ओपन टू द आइडिया.
You don't recognize them, their existence.
So आप कैसे रिक्रूटमेंट करेंगे? So it was a food for thought for them, oh yes, we should. Then there was a conversation for corporates. उनका आपके training programs होते हैं, MT programs होते हैं. I understand, because schools and colleges and universities are not open to educating them, recruiting them. You have a challenge कि हमारे पास skilled labor नहीं है trans community में. Trainingship programs, vocational training programs इसीलिए launch होते हैं ना, for people who are not educated.
Yes.
They are trained and they are brought into the corporate world. You do that for PWDs, don't you? You do that because आपको rating मिलती है.
Yeah, because you've done this CSR projects.
You get that customer का emotional.
हाँ, कि हम तो ये भी करते हैं, और हमने इतने donations की, हमने इतनी recycling की, हमने इतने trees लगाए.
And customers like, oh, this is my favorite brand, I should buy more of this. Do this for them as well. And they got, to some extent, they got the point. And to date, I think we've reached out to a lot of corporates for the likes of Unilever and Total, who are ready to now partnership with us.
That's nice.
Or just not just us, but they're open to the idea that, you know, yeah, हो सकता है उस time पे ना, because the subject was very taboo, तो वो मीडिया में इतने सारे आर्टिकल्स जर्नलिस्ट ने छाप दिए थे, इतने सारी हमने हाइप क्रिएट कर दी थी. लॉट ऑफ पीपल स्टार्टेड टू रीच आउट देमसेल्फ कि ओ इससे तो हमें रेटिंग मिल सकती है, इससे तो हमें पॉपुलैरिटी मिल सकती है. एंड इट इज़ अ गुड थिंग बिकॉज दैट्स हाउ यू नॉर्मलाइज द कल्चर. आई नेवर थॉट ऑफ इट एज अ नेगेटिव एलिमेंट कि आप तो अपनी पॉपुलैरिटी के लिए हमें, यू नो, यू वांट टू, आई डोंट केयर.
इट्स फाइन, विन विन है ना, विन विन है, विन लूज तो नहीं है.
see it, the more you normalize
as long as it's a win win for you
हमने
as well.
जानबूझ के 2-3 ट्रांस के साथ अपॉइंटमेंट्स बुक करके हम कहते थे चलें बारबेक्यू टुनाइट, चल के हम खाना खाते हैं, लेट्स गो हैव कॉफी एट ग्लोरिया जीन्स.
अच्छा,
because that's how you normalize. जब 4 लोग बैठे होंगे टेबल बोलेंगे okay, they will feel awkward but they will not be surprised the next time another
basically आपने उनको अपनी डेली लाइफ में इंक्लूड करना है. हाँ,
that's important.
It's the same as, मतलब not the same obviously, but you can relate it to us as women कि हम स्ट्रीट्स और रोड्स पे नहीं चल सकते ना उस तरह से. जब तक हम चलना शुरू नहीं करेंगे चीज़ नॉर्मलाइज ही नहीं होगी. You know,
आज तक आप वेस्टर्न कपड़े पहन के निकल जाए आपको घूर. हाँ, how do you normalize? मतलब ठीक है, मतलब कौन सी बड़ी बात है, औरतें भी फैशन कपड़े पहनती है, कोई बात नहीं, औरतें भी गाड़ियाँ चलाती हैं, ठीक है.
आज औरतें गाड़ियाँ चला रही हैं या जीन्स पहन ली हैं इसलिए कि इतनी दफ़ा किया कि कुछ लोगों के लिए वो चीज़ अब नॉर्मल होना शुरू हो गई है.
Absolutely.
करेंगे तो कभी भी नॉर्मल, नहीं करेंगे तो कभी नॉर्मल नहीं होगा.
ज़्यादा देखेंगे तो भूलेंगे ना कि ठीक है, व्हाट्स द बिग डील. सो आवर फर्स्ट step was कि we need to see more of them in public. Inclusion is what we were focusing on. And everywhere where I go, corporates, media, whoever I talk to, मैंने कहा please आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, include them. आपके घर में maids हैं, आपके घर में drivers हैं. Why do you need female and male? They are
काम
the
तो वो
best
भी
caretakers.
हाँ.
They are the best caretakers because they have the hormones for both males and females. And because they have been deprived and rejected by their own family, उनका automatically जो
more compassion, more compassionate
for other people. And उनके यहाँ एक how do I say it, organogram है, the way they function as a community.
अच्छा.
Because if a trans child is born in a family, they abandon it. So these people pick it up. The trans community picks them and brings them up as their own. So imagine the kind of love that they have to raise a child.
Even if they don't have enough money, just by the way. They don't.
Imagine.
They have a sisterhood type thing or whatever.
And everybody's guru and mentor.
Yeah.
कि मैं तुम्हें सिखाऊंगी. Some mentors go out of their way कि, you know, I will not eat a meal one day, but I will pay for your education. Because I was not educated and I faced a tough life, but you should be. And that's what we are also targeting among the communities to, you know, थोड़ी सी उनकी education, थोड़ी उनकी mentoring करें कि please at least younger lot को आप इन activities में ना involve करें. Change and break that cycle. Because आपके गुरु ने तो मतलब for commercial reasons, for financial constraints, जो भी था. बिकॉज उनका सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज कि हाउ, मतलब ये सारी चीज़ें बहुत अच्छी लगती हैं. जब खाना पेट में नहीं जाता ना एक वक्त का, तो आपका दिमाग नहीं काम करता. बिल्कुल जो करवाना है करवा लो,
खाना दे दो. हाँ,
that's the problem. We go to them like please हमने एक ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया है and you know it's going to change your life 3 months and then you'll get a job and you'll make a decent living. He like 3 महीने तक मैं खाना कहाँ से खाऊंगी? And that's where the conversation ends. And then we're like, do we have enough funds to support them financially? If nothing else, we'll provide you food for 3 times. So at least you can get your training. You are ready after 3 months to provide for your own self. And we are handicapped.
Okay, then how can you dream big when you have to worry about your next meal? Okay, then dreams are for privileged people.
Absolutely. in situations like this, it's true.
That's sad. That's really sad.
It is. And like I said, since nobody will talk about it, you're not open to the idea of listening them. यार ये तो रोते ही रहते हैं बस ठीक है. How will you ever know? You should go to the community and see how they live. एक कमरे में 5-5, 6-6 लोग रह रहे होते हैं because they share their rent because they can't afford.
हाँ, सही. So right now, what is all that you guys are doing here?
So one major aspect is about awareness. We do a lot of, since COVID, we've not done any physical events because universities, students, it's kind of becoming a challenge now. But we continue to do that on our social media pages. So we've launched multiple projects, like, we showcase their one person's story of how they've evolved, what challenges they face, what they do currently. Then we educate people on, how to be an ally. कभी आपको नहीं पता होगा कि आपने he बोलना है, she बोलना है. So, along those lines as well. So there's a lot of education and awareness that we do on the digital front. Then on the other aspects comes a lot of collaboration with educational institutions and corporate world to give them a chance. So we also did one collaborative project to train them on communication skills, because उनके पास degrees तो थी, but वो degrees corporate worlds के लिए were not enough, because ना उनसे English बोली जाती थी, ना उनसे presentation बनाई जाती थी, ना उनसे email लिखी जाती थी. So we did kind of an extensive program for people who were ready कि हाँ हमें कोई clerical job करनी है, reception की job करनी है, office work करना है, कि at least आपको basic documentation आती हो, filing आती हो, basic आप emails लिख सकते हैं. So we did that extensive program for one batch. That worked out well. 4 of the trans person from that group were then hired by Daud Public School, Daud Foundation, Akhuwat. They got picked up, yes. One batch we did a barista training program with Coffee Vagaira. It's one of the very local coffee shop, very famous. They've come a long way as well.
In Karachi?
In Karachi. So the person, the owner he was the first one to reach out to us when we did Trans Talk. Oh my God. And he's US returned, so he's kind of have an open mind as well.
Yeah.
But he was so excited. He's like, I want to do this. And he was like, let's take these people and train them for barista. I don't care if they're educated or not. I'm going to give them a skill. It's their choice if they want to continue. So 2 of the trans person also did the 1 month ki training, ended up working for Coffee Vagaira, making coffees and everything. So they kind of learned a lot of customer services as well. उसमें एक challenge हमें अभी तक face हो रहा है, whether it's the corporate or cafes or whatever, is sometimes the owners are excited कि we should do this, we are going to do this, they do it. But sometimes they can't take the responsibility for their security.
अच्छा.
So होता क्या है फिर, you're not always there as an owner, right?
Yeah.
You're not always
Yeah.
24 hours. And
Yeah.
like अच्छा एक outlet से उठ के दूसरे outlet चले जाए, एक office से दूसरे office चले जाते हैं हम. Then there are people who take advantage because, like I said, you are not trained. और respect तो ख़वातीन के लिए नहीं होती. In workspaces, a lot of women are harassed and bullied. So यहाँ पे थोड़ी harassment थोड़ी सी different type की थी. And then they were not comfortable. So they complained to us rather than complaining to the management. And then we had to take a stand. This cannot happen. If you're not ready to take ownership and provide for their safety, then this contract or this journey will not continue.
Yeah, because see, the thing is that I think इसमें थोड़ी वो वाली बात आ जाती है कि ऊपर से वो चीज़ बहुत अच्छी लगती है that you are being inclusive and you are doing all this, but if you're really doing it, it takes some,
honestly.
yes, it takes some effort from you. You have to do it properly ना, because उनका मसला सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि अच्छा अब उन्होंने जो है कॉफ़ी बनाना सीख लिया और अब they're making some income. उनकी प्रॉब्लम बहुत deep rooted है and there are other issues, and if you are helping them, then you have to deal with the whole thing. We
had a solution for that as well. It's like ठीक है, you think you are open to the idea and your staff or your management or your other colleagues are not, do a sensitization workshop. Educate them that we have a different person on board who you're not used to. These are the dynamics. Respect is utmost. Do that. We did that with Unilever. We did that with Total. Total के साथ हमने एक trainingship program हम design कर रहे थे, but after that conversation stopped when I asked, are you going to take responsibility for their security when they're deployed at their fuel stations? He's like, we cannot do that because हमारे fuel pump से managers होते हैं. We can train them. We don't have the resources to do that. We cannot either. This must stop. We cannot put somebody's respect or their security at stake when you are not ready to take the responsibility. सारी चीज़ें अपनी तरफ. Thank you very much for being courageous enough to even
consider
be open
this.
to the idea to consider this. But this is one demand that we put. हम और कुछ नहीं मांगते. We don't care if you advertise us. We don't care if you mention us anywhere. We don't care about any financial. We don't collaborate for financial reasons either. But this is all we ask. If you're not ready to.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, one of their main fight is to be treated with respect, considered respectful in वो ही नहीं हो रहा तो फिर
human, that we are part of society.
हमने उनको marginalize, dehumanize करके बिल्कुल अलग किया हुआ है अपनी society से.
अपना हक समझ लिया कि every time somebody like that you interact with, आपने उसको harass ही और disrespect ही करना. That's not
basically यहाँ पर हमारे यहाँ एक मसला है ना, that we see them only like हमारे यहाँ होता है बहुत ज़्यादा that people see them in a very sexualized sort of way.
Disrespectful.
Objectify them. So it's very dehumanizing in that sense that they're just seen for that. Yeah. That's what they're for. This is what they do. So वहाँ पर जो आपकी mentality ही ये है.
How do you fight that?
तो आगे आप कैसे चलोगे, you know?
I mean, we came across such situation where we were highlighting a story of Nisha, who's a lawyer. She's LLB. And mashallah se now registered for her masters as well. And people like, oh, lawyer bhi hote hain ye? Open your eyes. Yes.
And the whole like the sentence in itself, lawyer भी होते हैं ये,
क्या
मतलब ये इनमें ऐसे क्या है?
आपने सिर्फ उनको रोड पे भीख मांगते हुए देखना है.
और इनमें ऐसा क्या है कि ये नहीं हो सकते? What makes us think that? And also the sad part is that like how do we consider ourselves above them or more capable? They're just born that way. You know, and our society sort of, and it's not even that, even if they were born that way ना, हमने उनको equal opportunity दी होती सुमन, तो वो हमारी तरह होते. हमने उनको शुरू से साइड पे कर दिया. अगर वो हमारी तरह educated होते, हमारी तरह normal lives गुजारते, families उनकी होती, आज हमारे यहाँ बड़े normal third gender होती है जो भी, and
west में हो रहा है.
हाँ, normal part of society होता ना.
But then there is certain segment in your society जो उनको लगता है ये तो naturally born भी नहीं है ऐसे. They dress up like women.
Oh, there's that lack of awareness. Achha.
Those misconceptions. And I will not deny, for commercial reasons, there are
people who were doing that.
The begging mafia is real. And they capitalize on these kind of, opportunities as well. I will not deny. But let's not disregard the fact that this is also natural.
Yeah, this is natural. Huh.
So most part of our activities and the initiatives that we do are related to that
awareness.
Education and awareness, because I think that's important. So whoever I meet, मैं कहती हूँ ठीक है हमारी generation तो गुजर गई जिनको नहीं पता था. Please educate your younger lots. Please educate your child who जो खिड़की पे आके बोलते हैं मामा ये कौन है, उनको बताएं. That's your opportunity. Catch that.
हाँ, पता नहीं हमने बचपन से देखा था, हमें भी कभी नहीं बताया.
हमने भी पूछा था. I remember मैंने बहुत दफा पूछा. कुछ नहीं बेटा कुछ.
हम तो डरते थे, हमें डरा दिया था उनसे
कि ऐसी बातें तो पूछो भी मत. But I remember एक दफा पूछा like they just like shoved under the carpet like चुप करो ऐसी बातें नहीं करते नहीं. Ignore.
Sad. So this is why
I tell all my friends कि please one thing good that you can do for your
teach your children
is teach them, educate them कि बेटा एक third gender भी है, मर्द और खवातीन तो हैं ही, उनके मसले अलग हैं, but
ये भी
there is another world out there.
Interesting. Sahi. So you do awareness in education, and basically you've put them programs and taught them things
programs,
and
training programs, collaborations. Yes,
very nice. Sounds amazing. Sahi. And right now you've only been doing this in Karachi,
we've done some activities in Hyderabad as well, but they were mostly related to COVID activities, because during COVID लॉकडाउन्स की वजह से बहुत सारी कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज़ उनके लिए भी रुक गई थी. लॉट ऑफ बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ जो उनके लिए इनिशिएट की गई थी वो भी रुक गई थी. सो दे वर स्ट्रगलिंग विद लॉट ऑफ रेंट्स ऑल्सो, फूड. तो हमने राशन ड्राइव्स बहुत की थी. फिर देन वी सपोर्टेड देम विद द रेंटल्स एज वेल. And then during that time, it was also an opportunity for us to set them small businesses within their houses, food delivery businesses और छोटी मोटी embroidery के businesses, because वहाँ पे mostly सबको stitching आती है. कढ़ाइयाँ सबको आती हैं. Everybody cooks there. So if you are good at it, might as well capitalize. So we reached out to one of the factories जो कि bed sheets वगैरह बनाती हैं. So, you know, kind of got them a lot of orders. So they would sit at home, not go out, do the
Embroidery.
stitching and everything, or embroidery, and make some sort of living for them.
Achha, this is interesting. So have you sort of, like हमारी I think podcast start करने से we had the conversation about digital. So have you sort of considered कि, you know, maybe empowering them more digitally or teaching them some digital skills can help them? Because, you know, there's like a whole freelancing world and what, and that can really make them financially better and sort of something like that. Because, see, public mein inclusion is a struggle, right? So this is something that maybe...
Yeah, absolutely. And we have considered this. इसमें चैलेंज क्या होता है, वी डू क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग्स फॉर देम.
ठीक है,
फेसबुक कैसे चलेगा, एडवर्टाइजिंग ऐसे हो गया, यू कैन सेट अप योर फेसबुक शॉप हियर, इंस्टाग्राम ऐसे. घर जाके दे फॉरगेट एवरीथिंग बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव द रिसोर्सेज, दे डोंट हैव द इंटरनेट, दे डोंट हैव द लैपटॉप्स. डिजाइनिंग सीख के जाते हैं, दे नो द बेसिक डिजाइनिंग, सो कि
if you don't practice enough you can't. So this is another challenge obviously because that
उनके घरों में नहीं आती. इंटरनेट के उनको इश्यूज हैं. Mobile phones sometimes they're not smartphones either. They do it because they want to communicate with their family. One person in the group would probably, or two people would have the smartphones जो कि जिसका कैमरा अच्छा नहीं होगा, जिसमें you know, probably because they used phones or whatever. So we've faced those challenges as well. So we were working and then COVID hit it. So one of the person that we are still trying to work with is, she's a textile designer. Achha. And I'm really, really, really fond of her work.
Achha.
These are some of the samples and designs she showed me. I was mesmerized. Achha. I've not seen anything like that before. And I really wanted to do something for her. Now she's a designer, so she wanted to collaborate with one of the clothing designers, so she can use her prints on her clothes. And then we thought we'd do some collaborative projects like this with one of the designers. We put an exhibition or use digital forums to, you know, get a lot of attention. But we couldn't because we lacked a lot of resources. And then a lot of designers were very skeptical about collaborating on these kind of projects again. Especially bade designers, so like, no, this is a no-go area for us. What if? They liked the idea, but they were like, what if?
So it's funny how most of the people, like, I mean, that you've talked about, they're open to the idea, lekin wo, because of the society and what ifs, wo cheez nahi karte, even though they're on board internally, like they agree and they're fine
internally
with it.
They're okay. It's like, karna chahiye. But like, what if my brand at stake? So we're still trying to figure out a way to do that. But yes, we've thought a lot about putting some kind of projects, putting some kind of, you know, initiatives or training programs that will enable or empower them digitally as well. कि कोई तो skill हो ना.
I think you're right. I think one of the problems, because obviously at the end of the day it's an NGO, तो वो जो चीज़ें होती हैं of जो resources होते हैं, वो that's a challenge. That's a big challenge.
And then so far we've only survived on public donations. So people have been kind, they've been supportive. Organizations के साथ तो इतना financially back and forth नहीं होता, but they provide and support us with all the resources we may need. And I think I'm really thankful to all the donors. There have been anonymous donors as well, who've been kind enough to, you know, come forward and say, you know, here, this is at least the least we can do. If
what is it
else.
Called?
Sorry?
You know, if people want to donate as well, since we're on this discussion, how can they donate?
We have a separate bank account.
Okay.
So we put out the bank account details on our social media forums, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. So we kind of also have a LinkedIn page for people who want to hire trans. So we put their CVs on LinkedIn ke pages.
Oh, very nice. Acha.
So some, again, specific skills that you require, just log on to our LinkedIn page. You know which profile to look for. So some people have reached out, but still kind of under work in progress.
Work in progress. And sorry, how long have you been doing this now?
We've been doing this since 4 years now. So we started early 2018.
You've come a long way. 4 years is a lot.
We would have ended this in 4 months. But then, you know, it literally, I used to stay up all night thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I give up my job? Should I continue this? You know, because it needs time. Pura time lagana padta hai, effort lagani padti hai. I can't do this as a side gig. Should I not? You know, it's like conversation we've had in our group also. And the group that I work with, they're younger lots. They were my students. So unko ye bolna ki nahi apni naukri corporate world mein mat jao and, you know, stick to what we are doing. I thought I was selfish. So I let them go. I'm like, take out time because you want to do this, however, whichever, whatever works for you. Jitna bhi tum log kar sakte ho. I'm not going to stop you from the real world challenges. Go out, play, learn, make mistakes. If you still want to do this, it's here. I will support it. Because I lived my life. एक ना corporate आपकी peak होता है. You've done that. अब आपको वो errors और mistake करने की वो जो चाह होती है, वो ठरक होती है, वो खत्म हो चुकी होती है. So I'm like, ठीक है, जाओ, do it. Whatever little you guys want to work on weekends, little 1 hour day during the day you want to spare it, I'm good with that also. So, but I think all of us have been really into it. So हमें कोई भी opportunity मिलती है, like let's do this. We're still excited. We've not lost that enthusiasm.
Yeah, the passion, the drive.
That this is our baby and we should still continue doing that.
Talking about the drive and passion, there's always that little, when there's people like you who really want to do, something for a cause and, you have that drive for it. There's that pain point. There's something that really triggered it and continues to sort of, continue to make you do this. Yeah. What is that? Where does that drive come from? What was it that really...
The triggering point, I understand.
That gets you thinking for days that I want to do this.
Yes. What has been my pain point for this, when I was struggling with my divorce and, I realized nobody would stand by you and that there's this one person and that one person is your family. Everybody will like, mat karo, pata nahi kya challenges honge. Nobody will ever look at you with that respect ever again. Log baatein karenge, blah, blah. But that one person is your family. And then during this 4 months initially, jab hum stories collect kar rahe the, and then I heard their stories, like, my own family. I was the youngest. Us time pe to kisi ko pata bhi nahi tha ki, I have gender challenges. When you listen to that person's story. And I'm like, oh my God. The only person who will ever stand by you gave you up.
Start see.
And that just hit me hard. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I think in whatever way, what we try to do is not just provide them financially ki dekhiye ye opportunity hai, khuda ke vaste kuch kar lo, but also listen to them, kind of tell them that we are here. What your family couldn't do, maybe we can, include you in our lives. That is what the emotional element for me, I think.
So anything else you want to say, maybe that I don't know, I haven't gotten into, and you would want to put out there for us sometime, please?
For women especially, I think बहुत सारी चीज़ें सोच के ना उनको इग्नोर कर देते हैं कि छोड़ो, इससे क्या होगा, छोड़ो, नहीं करते, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, मेरी बहन ने भी तो नहीं किया था, मेरी माँ ने भी तो नहीं किया था. So I think if you really want to do something, it's not about anything that you want to do professionally. छोटी सी चीज़ भी, अगर आपको कोई ड्रेस अच्छा लग रहा है और वो आपने पहनना है and you're thinking कि नहीं ज़्यादा महंगा है, पैसे कौन, blah blah, take that first step for yourself. I'm not saying go out there and shine bright on the world map. You don't have to. But at least do one little thing for yourself. It could be anything. But do it. It's really empowering. It's really liberating. Do that one thing for yourself.
For yourself.
हमारी ख़वातीन कंडीशन की जाती हैं बचपन से to live for
others.
भाई के लिए खाना बनाओ, अब्बू के लिए चाय बनाओ, अम्मी के पैर दबाओ. बचपन से your condition. It's a societal map that has been designed, but
it's like bachpan se you're taught that your main job in life is to live for others,
and please others,
and please also. Yeah.
एक दफा, सिर्फ एक दफा, please do it for yourself, even if it's just once. If you get a chance to do it for yourself.
Liberate yourself.
Yes.
Sahi, thank you so much for coming again. मुझे बहुत मज़ा आया आपसे बात करके. It was so nice. You had such an interesting journey. Everything. I mean, there were so many things I had no idea about. I'm glad we got into them, and you spoke to us and you told us. That's why in the start I said I don't just want to talk about the transgenders because I knew. Because every time I talk to a woman, there's more. There's a story. Yeah. So, and and those stories are something that need to come out, that everybody wants should know.
Yes.
Should know. Yeah.
Speak out loud about that.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, really, thank you so much for doing that. I think it's a great platform. So kudos to you and your entire team for doing that. And it's been a pleasure. I loved it.
And I'm so glad that Manto brought you here. Maybe
you,
I would
Manto.
not have discovered. But yeah,
So
on
huge
that
thanks to
note-
them.
On that note, they gave this for you.
Oh, this is sweet. Thank you so much.
This is a
Really
gift.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Something
Surprise,
nice.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Happy Chirp. I had such a good time talking to her. So much to learn. मुझे भी इस तरह लग रहा है कि और भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो सकती हैं. But yeah,
All
I
good
think
things must come to an end.
yes, and we've spoken a lot. So I'll see you guys again in another episode, inshallah, with another guest. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.